Things have improved out here quite a bit. I have a fresh gallon and a half with me that will see me through the rest of the McCulloughs no matter what. It's fairly flat and easy walking here. A lot of ephedra, a lot of tequila, which we haven't looked at yet. We will. A lot of ambrosia dumosa, lots of eucalyptus, as you can see. This is the middle point of the range, and now that I have a bunch of water and don't have to detour up any side canyons, I can go straight for it in terms of the high ridges when I get to them. I do still need to get to them pretty darn soon because tomorrow's going to be the hottest day of all of this whole trip. Really lucked out today with all the shade of the yuccas and very little direct sunlight. It's been heavy clouds all day, and even though it's been very hot actually, especially in those breaks in the clouds, we've gotten through it, but we cannot be up here tomorrow morning, I'd say. So I don't have a ton of light left, but I need to still make quite a few miles, or else I'll be waking up extremely early to avoid the significant heat that'll arrive probably after 9 or 10 o'clock a.m. or so. Surprised a lot more things aren't actually wind pollinated out here, but I don't know if that's coming out on film or not, but I can see big sheets of pollen coming out of the ambrosia dumosas. And I was walking through some of them earlier, and when the breeze was quite elevated, the pollen was just flying out into the distance out there, surely to land on some ambrosias elsewhere, since it's one of the most common low shrubs out here. Seeing those ambrosia dumosas that the flowers lack petals, which is correlated with wind pollination and other pollination syndromes that don't require any insect or bird pollinators, for example. You can be wind pollinated or you can be self-pollinated if you've lost petals evolutionarily. Ambrosia here as a genus has lost petals to help facilitate wind pollination. You know them as the ragweeds, make you sick in the fall or whenever, September, maybe other parts of the summer depending on your region. They make me a little sick in September back where I'm from in Colorado, but anyway, that has to do with the fact that they disperse copious quantities of pollen out into the atmosphere in the hope that a given pollen grain will land on a given stigma of the same species somewhere. Part of the problem today was that the wind came in overnight and it kept me up for a while until I smartened up, put in some earplugs and whatnot. But the effect that had was that it forced me to sleep in a little bit. Like the sun was already probably 2 hours into the sky by the time I came to this morning. And I just groaned internally, told myself, oh man, you're in for a mighty scorcher today. So I should have got a much earlier start. I would have not only found the water at a more decent time of day, but I also would have probably been in some sheltered canyon or other nice place that'll keep me protected from the wind and or brutal sunshine in the morning. I'm not sleeping on this ridge again no matter what. I will GPS it and headlamp it if I have to struggle through this, but it was just a little too windy and too hot. Beat me down. Krasheninakovia, Lanata right here. Lanata refers to being lanate, which means you're densely woolly hairy. And that describes this lineage perfectly. Very common on barren ridges like this, and even lower down, some of the flats, some of the washes. Krasheninakovia. Can you imagine being out here in July? It's 115 in Las Vegas maybe. All the black rocks here absorbing up all that heat, where it starts off at like 80 degrees right away in the morning. Yeah, I bet the bighorns probably migrate higher at that point, because it's pretty bad even in late April. Like, I can just feel the heat palpitating, emanating off the black rocks still, and it wasn't even that hot today, probably upper 80s. Wasn't even that sunny today. Those are the high McCulloughs. I'm gonna descend this arm and then camp in that canyon, which will offer nice shelter and all ascent for tomorrow morning as the day warms up. And when it's hot as heck down here, I will be way up there is the plan. Always get those horrible sunsets in Nevada for some reason. Good thing we're not doing this descent around noon, huh? The desert willows, Gelopsis linearis, starting to leaf out here, which tells you it's pretty hot, or getting there. Salvia dorii there, Eucoshedidra, Phorhodendron on the Senegalias there. I'm climbing this wash as it gets hot. Finally in the southern McCulloughs. Won't be that long of a visit. I should be at my car later today. Came across all that in the distance though, and it's been rough going. Almost ready for this one to be over, but I think we're still going to see some pretty cool plants along the way. Oh yeah, you know what that is, right? It's a Pinus minophila right there. Clearly deep Mojave still. Prunus fasciculata, Surothamnus, Eucoshedidra, Amsonia tomentosa, Euca brevifolia, but also Pinus minophila here now at 4,000 feet or so in this wash. Still got plenty of barren Senegalias, leafing out a little lower down. We could see more trees higher up ahead, those ridges. Not only are some pinyon pines starting up here, Salvia doria there is really resplendent, but also the Joshua trees are quite large in this particular wash. I hope I've left the true heat behind me. Given the trees now, you can always take a siesta if it's too hot. I mean, you can do that with a Joshua tree, but it's just not as deep of a shade. Probably noticed by now that I'm rather obsessed with the heat lately. It's not how I like to operate ordinarily, but fact of the matter is, when it gets too hot, the water just becomes a constant obsession. Do you have enough? Can you afford to chug right now? Is there going to be other waters at all? And once the temperatures start hitting the upper 80s or so, that's just not enjoyable anymore, because the heat does become the obsession rather than all the plants everywhere. Case in point, some nice deep shade here. I don't care if it's just 1 minute to take a sip of water or 5 minutes to look at the GPS and take a sip of water, or 30 minutes. This is the deep kind of shade that one starts to crave out here, because as you can see, there's not a ton of it around quite yet, although you can see a couple pines in the distance there. It's time to meet penstemon. Remarkable radiation of plants, mostly endemic to Western North America. Hundreds of species here. There are dozens of species here, particularly in Nevada, some of which are bright red colored in terms of their corollas. Others will be pink, purple, blue, etc. This one's penstemon utahensis. The red penstemons tend to be fairly distinct, since most of them are not hummingbird pollinated, as these red ones mostly are. Most of the other species are predominantly bee pollinated, I would say. Though I am not a penstemon expert, there are plenty of those folks whom you could talk with about this stuff. But it's the first one I've seen today in this Coleogyne yucca forest. There's a lot of Castanea in terms of other red-flowered taxa, but those are relatively common. Some characteristics of penstemon, like other members of the Plantagenaceae, or a lot of them anyway, they have bilateral corollas that are fused. So we see those 3 lower corolla lobes and 2 upper corolla lobes there. One plane of symmetry in this flower. And like most other members of the Lamiales, the mint order, they have opposite leaves, tending to be fairly glaucous to even fleshy in this region. Things are definitely becoming a bit more montane now, not least of all because we have Persia starting to appear, named after Persh, who named so many plants out west. It's a genus of handful of species of arid land shrubs. You get them at these pinyon juniper elevations, actually, which tells you we are slightly above the Mojave Desert now, thank goodness. Yucca baccata. Much different wash system now. This one is very wide and unvegetated, mostly because it also serves as a road. But we have desert savanna transition zone now, and see that those foothills fairly well forested. It's not dense, but you don't have to go walking for kilometers on end to find some shade either. Joshua trees, and pine trees all in the same place. And unlike even just 1,000 feet lower, the desert willows are not leafed out yet. It's midday. The temperature is probably almost at peak, and it's breezy, and I'm feeling quite good about it. The forest is responsive to the temperature too. It's a lot denser now, even though we still got those Mojave elements, very common. So that road / wash just terminated into a dirt bike trail. I was seeing footprints in the wash too, so perhaps it's also a mountaineers trail. They do exist here in southern Nevada, mountaineers that is. I'm gonna keep following it because it's quite nice. It's at a good elevation and it's fairly flat. And I just need to get further that way, and it's going exactly my way. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gets me quite close to the range high point at approximately 7,000 feet. We're a bit above 5 here. Almost feel like I'm on a nice normal backpacking trip with this fine trail created and used mostly by dirt bikers in the wilderness, but whatever. Dirt bike trails started going downhill, so I went up this wash. Lots of cattle in evidence, and there's water here, but it's all mucked to shit, literally, with cattle shit. Either way, I need to get up to the crest now. Should be reaching the crest pretty soon at the top of this wash. It's a steep little climb up the canyon. Now it's nice and breezy and forested, so any worries of heat are long behind me. Some Saxifragiaceae, probably heuchera or something. Starting to leaf out. North cliff faces here. Pretty common. Almost on the top, less than a mile. Nice pinyon juniper forest up here. Nice cool breeze. This is the high McCullough crest. There's a lot of horse disturbance here. That's what all the bare ground is from. And what it's done, yeah, they're here to stay. I'm fine with the horses at this point. They are naturalized. They ain't going anywhere. But yeah, has makes for a lot of dust clearings, and it makes for a lot of opuntia. It's freaking everywhere in the clearings. So dense that it's hard to walk. Of course, we have a ton of Ephedra viridis right here. There's some ribes around. Not a ton of annuals up yet. There's the opuntia. Oh, something else. That's kind of serious. See? There she is. Our Lady of the McCulloughs. That's the Emerald of the South right there. That's Mount McCullough. Here we are on top of the McCulloughs. Top of the Emerald of the South. Nothing as high as here except for the Charleston Massif, which is further north. So what do we have on top of the emeralds here? We have Yucca baccata, Ephedra viridis. Lots of Strelsia leafing out. Different species in Ambigua though. Not sure what it is until it really gets more mature. Lots of Juniperus. Osteosperma. Lots of Pinus monophylla. I would say there's more single-needled pine than anything up here. In terms of the emerald, got some Cainocereus. There's a ton of Opuntia. Some litter. I don't know which way people usually come up, but I found a t-shirt and a pair of shorts here. It's kind of weird. It's almost sunset. Still on top of the ridge of the McCulloughs. Thank goodness it's mostly flat. I'm running low on water again, but I think after that bump over there, it's the last ascent to the car and water and such, so not too worried about it this time. Also, the sun is going down, so it's not going to be very hot out after dark, especially at 7,000 feet. This closes out the McCulloughs. Hope you enjoyed the forest up here. I know we didn't stop for too many plants, but I'm already pretty late as it is. Still have a couple more hours to get to the car. And it's going to be late at night, but anyway, I enjoyed it for the most part. Water difficulties and all. And be going to more remote and higher places in the future, I'd say.